morning everyone, and welcome back to the Big OGGIE Bakehouse. Now, those of you that are members of our sister channel, the Cornwall channel, Big OGGIE Cornwall, you would have noticed that last week we went and visited a lovely garden with an orchard. And whilst we were at the orchard, there was lots and lots of National Trust recipes dotted around. And they all basically had apple in some form or another. So we decided that we were going to do all of them. We got an apple from the orchard.
It's a Laxton's Fortune, same as my dad had in his garden.
So John knows what that's all about. Okay. It's just an apple.
It's an apple to you.
Yeah. So this is a twist on a lemon drizzle cake. It's an apple and lemon drizzle cake.
Funny that being an orchard, it's an apple cake of some kind.
Absolutely. So I've no idea how this is going to turn out, and if I'm absolutely honest, my lemon drizzle cakes have not always been very good. So
that's a good start. People are going to really want to watch this now. Let's watch somebody who can't cook a lemon drizzle cake cook a lemon drizzle cake. So this should be
quite interesting. So anyway, let's get on with it.
That's it. Big up the channel.
Yeah, big up the channel.
Okay.
So, well, it's nothing but, you know, we're honest here.
Absolutely.
And so if it turns out rubbish, it'll be rubbish.
We've been looking for a really good lemon drizzle cake for ages, so this could be it.
This could be it. So, what do we need? We need 150 grams of self-raising flour, 150 grams of sugar. Now, they say sugar. I'm using caster sugar, but only because that was what I was taught. When you're making cakes, you tend to use caster because
we
otherwise...
also tend to use golden caster sugar just because it's a little bit different.
We just find it better, but you know, if you haven't got it, fine, just use ordinary sugar. 150 grams of butter, a medium-sized apple, the zest from a lemon, 2 eggs beaten, and a tablespoon of oil, vegetable oil. That's for the actual cake. You're going to need an 8-inch cake tin, which I've greased well, and I've lined the bottom with parchment paper.
Yeah, we've got a spring-loaded tin, so we don't need to do the sides with paper.
But if you don't have a spring-loaded tin, obviously try and line your sides as well. And obviously I'm making it in a round cake tin, but if you want to make it in a loaf tin, I would imagine it will be absolutely fine. So whatever you've got, but basically 8 inches of it. So however that works out in a square, I don't know. So, to start with for this, we need to melt the butter. This is slightly unusual because we're not creaming butter and sugar this time. We're melting the butter and then mixing everything else in. So I'm going to get on with that and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've melted my butter. I did it on the stove over a low heat because you don't want it to get too hot. What I would not recommend is doing it in a microwave purely because you really can't control how hot it's going to get, and you don't want it to be boiling or any of that sort of stuff. So we just melted the butter. I'm going to pour it into my mixing bowl.
While you're doing that, I had a little question for you about butter. Obviously, many years ago when we started cooking, salted butter was seriously salty. And we could hardly really get unsalted butter, but nowadays, where they've taken out so much salt and seasoning and things, doesn't really matter if you use salted or unsalted for this because there's just not that much salt in salted butter anymore. No,
and I'll be honest, in all the years that I've been cooking, I have never ever used unsalted butter.
No, it's such a minor thing.
I just think you lose something with the taste. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are very health conscious, and that's absolutely fine, but I prefer to use salted personally. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add our dry ingredients. We're adding the flour, sugar, and the lemon zest.
It's actually a pretty simple recipe to put together. Obviously the old days again, or without the help of melting butter, you'd be creaming together butter and sugar. It takes a while. Yeah.
Give it a good stir up. It'll be that time again soon, before long. Stirring up time, stir up Sunday.
I'm pretty sure this is a bit like a kind of muffin recipe where you mix all the dry ingredients, mix all the wet ingredients and throw them together, but yeah.
So when you've mixed it, it looks like dough, basically. So then into that, we need to add the apple into the mixture. So we need to peel this and grate this. So I'll do it and I'll come back. I haven't peeled it in advance and grated it because obviously we don't want it to go brown, although you are making a lemon cake. So if you wanted to do it in advance and just put a little bit of lemon juice over it, it's really not going to affect the taste of your cake.
Fine.
So I'm just going to quickly do that and I'll be back. So before I add the apple, I just need to mix the oil in with my eggs. Like that. Give that a stir up. That goes in there as well. This is going to be almost splitty. So when you add your eggs and oil, it will go sort of splitty, if you like, initially. But if you give it a good beat, sorry, I got mixture all over my face then, it'll come back to a batter type consistency again.
Just beat it quickly, yeah.
In goes the apple, as you can see, it's already going brown.
Yeah.
In it goes.
We're suggesting eating apples for this because obviously most cookers
I think you'll
too
find
sharp and go pappy.
Bramleys are going to be too sour. So you mix your apple into your mixture. Try and make sure it's sort of all coated, really. And then you literally have what I would call a loose batter. It doesn't even look like a cake mix to me, but there we go.
Maybe that's a good reason why you need to line a tin.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So, and then it goes into your 8-inch prepared tin.
The first thing I'm going to say is there doesn't seem an awful lot of mixture.
Well, that is one thing that has crossed my mind. But we've done exactly what it says on the recipe. It's a National Trust recipe, so I hope, or I would hope, that it had been tried and tested. And that, if you can see, I can't really tip it up.
No, I wouldn't tip it up.
Is your cake mix. Now that goes into the oven at 170 degrees or gas mark 3. There we go. For 30 minutes. So, fingers crossed. Let's get it in there and see what happens.
See what happens, absolutely.
Okay, so the cake has been in for 20 minutes now. It's got just under 10 minutes left. It has risen a bit and it smells delicious, but I'm still not convinced that either the amount in the recipe is enough for an 8-inch cake tin, or if indeed putting the mix that they gave us into a 7-inch tin would make that much of a difference. But we'll see what happens. It is rising a little bit, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe a loaf tin, because
well,
it might
John's
be smaller.
thinking a loaf tin, but I'm not sure which way we'll go with it. We'll see what happens when it comes out anyway.
All it said on the recipe was an 8-inch cake tin.
Exactly.
Didn't say shape or whatever.
No, so that's what we've done.
We also think maybe doubling the recipe could be good.
Yeah, I think if you doubled the recipe, so you had 300 flour, 300 sugar, 300 butter, that probably would be a good size cake in an 8-inch tin. But you'd also have to increase the cooking time slightly because obviously you're going to have a denser mixture.
Bit of guesswork going on there.
But yeah, this is all ifs and buts and ands, and it's not even out of the oven yet, so I don't know why we're worrying quite so much anyway.
Looks nice, got nice colour on it.
It smells delicious. So the last bit of this recipe is 50 grams of sugar and the juice of 1 lemon.
There you go.
Into either a microwavable dish or bowl or a jug. You literally mix the two together and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Give it a swirl around. If the sugar's melted, fantastic. If not, put it in for another 30 seconds, but be careful, don't burn it. I'm letting it cool down a little bit But basically what happens then is as soon as that cake comes out of the oven, we skewer it.
Or fork it.
Or whatever it is you want to do with it. And then you either get a pastry brush and brush the drizzle glaze over it, or you can get a teaspoon and drizzle it with a teaspoon, or if you've got a steady hand, I guess you could literally trickle it out of the jug.
But you've got to be steady because you flood it.
Yeah, otherwise you just have like a wet patch. So I think I'm going to go with the pastry brush option. But it literally needs to be done as soon as that cake comes out of the oven, because the hotter the cake, the more it will absorb the drizzle mixture.
Hot cake, warm drizzle.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay, so I've got about another 5 minutes. My drizzle's ready. I'm going to get myself a good skewer, and then we will be ready to rock when it comes out. See you in a minute. So, oven gloves ready. The cake is ready to come out.
You sure it wasn't semaphore for SOS?
I don't know even what SOS would be. I haven't got the foggiest. But let's get this cake out and have a look.
Yeah. Whilst Kelly does that, it hasn't risen very much. We're kind of almost saying if you did 2 of them this size, you could almost turn it into a lemon drizzle sponge with 2 layers. Might even be thinking about putting
right, so it did rise slightly.
Lemon curd in it.
Okay. I'm going to work quickly now because it says the hotter the better. So I'm going to use a fork. I'm going to stab.
So I'm going to move in here and just have a quick look. So yeah, we're using a fork, obviously. We were thinking about little kebab skewers, but we couldn't find any.
This is what happens. It's because it's hot.
Bits will break out.
It will break quite easily. Right.
Just stab it around. We can also use cocktail sticks. We've got cocktail sticks here as well.
The reason I've not used a cocktail stick is because I don't want to put my hands that close to a red hot tin.
I would agree with you. So don't use a cocktail stick then.
I'm using a pastry brush, as you can see, to put my lemon drizzle mixture over it. It seems to be absorbing it quite nicely. I can actually see, excuse me, in the top of the cake I can see pieces of apple.
Which is good. That was the point, I guess.
I guess so.
Now we love apple cake. There's another recipe we've got here from the National Trust, which is actually an apple cake, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
what we would think is more of
like
a Dorset apple cake style thing.
Well, I'm not actually sure because it's actually got dates in as well as sultanas and stuff in, so it sounds like a really nice recipe.
There's so many different versions of apple cake around.
Right.
So that's a lot.
That's the whole of the drizzle stuff in. And now it says to leave the cake to cool in the tin before you even attempt to try and chuck it out. So we're going to leave it be. It is cooked. I can see it's cooked because it's come away from the edge of my tin slightly. What would I do differently? I think with an 8-inch tin, probably doubling up the mixture would be a good plan. Again, you could use I would suggest probably even just a £1 cake loaf tin. I think a £2 cake tin would be too big still. I don't think using a 7-inch tin with that amount of mixture is going to make a whole lot of difference, but you could try that too.
I think it's going to be very nice. It's just going to be one of those kind of narrow sliced cakes as opposed to what we would think is a sponge being some massive big.
Yeah, I think sponges have changed over the years. I mean, it used to be you had these 2 little tiny sandwich tins, and you put half your mix in one, half the mix in the other, and then you join them together. Whereas now, I mean, you get cakes this high with like 4 or 5.
Some cakes are now massively tall with lots and lots of layers, and then you've got like the Genoese cake, which is like that. It's going to be very narrow, very thin.
So I think it's probably like, do what you think's best for you is what I would say.
The recipe obviously works.
Yeah, it looks lovely. It smells lovely. The drizzle's gone in. It looks lovely and glazed now. Come back when I get it out of the tin and we'll see what it actually looks like when it's not in a tin.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting it to go white, like you kind of see them in the shops, lemon drizzle with a kind of a icing thing going on.
Well, we don't know how it will go when it cools.
Yeah, the sugar could kind of crystallise back again, so we shall see. Right, we'll pop back in a little while and show you the finished article.
See you in a bit. Okay, so welcome back. It's been a couple of hours now, so the cake's well and truly cooled. So I'm just gonna try and get it out of the thing. I think I'm going to play on safe and just run a knife around the outside. Release my tin. And as we expected, it is pretty flat.
Like a Genoese. Like a Genoese. But to be honest, I don't really worry about that. It's
It just smells wonderful.
Yeah, looks good actually.
It's sticky on the top, which is nice. And that is our apple lemon cake, apple lemon drizzle cake. You said about when you get lemon drizzle cakes, it's usually got like sugary bits on the top.
Yeah, sugary top, yeah.
Well, I've been thinking about that because I used caster sugar, but I got a feeling when you do a lemon drizzle top, you're supposed to use granulated sugar because the sugar crystals are bigger.
Fair enough, maybe.
So that's one thing we didn't do. Should we have a little slice?
Yeah,
and
that's
see?
the important thing. To be honest, I'm not worried what it looks like. If it tastes good, I don't care. Like I said, it's just one of those, you know, Sunday cup of tea slice type cake. It doesn't have to be some massive big loaf. That's actually quite a nice sized cake.
There you go. It's not too bad.
Really good. Looks good.
Do you want to come and try a piece?
Yeah, I'm going to just adjust this camera because I'm taller than you.
Yes,
so you're going to put that on a small plate and then you have to lift it up.
1 second.
Otherwise, I won't be in. You will.
One piece of cake.
Make sure I'm in here. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I'll bend down a bit.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Go on then.
Fluffy as.
That's really nice actually.
It's really good actually.
Yeah.
It's really light and fluffy, which I wasn't expecting.
You get the apple?
Bit. Very good.
Yeah, 'cause you get a different texture from the apple.
Yeah.
You get the odd bit of what will be fruity bits. Quite chewy bits.
Very good.
Really nice. Yeah, don't worry about the height. I'd do it like that. 'Cause it's very rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but very good. I think that's probably the best lemon drizzle I've made, although it's not drizzly drizzle, if you like, but certainly lemony enough and
But
lovely.
yeah, I mean, if you want to, you could put a little icing sugar, like a icing top, a little water ice type top.
Yeah, I've actually got some sugar nibs. You could put sugar nibs on the top if you wanted as well.
Doesn't need it. It's lovely. It's
No.
moist all the way through. It's sweet, but not overly sweet, and it's quite sharp.
Thumbs up to the National
Jobs are
Trust.
good and definitely very good. So,
I hope you enjoyed it. Do have it a go, give it a make, see what you think. If you do decide to put it into a loaf tin or adjust it in your own way, let us know.
yeah, just make sure